All right, here we are.
Here we go.
Episode 8.
8. We made it to 8.
We made it to 8. We haven't made it to 10 yet. So
Oh, is that a big number?
It is. I guess so. You know, I keep seeing these numbers out there that less than 10% make it to 10 episodes. So,
really?
Yeah.
It's like businesses that don't make
so
it.
if you, hopefully you don't quit on me before 10.
I'm not looking to quit. You're looking to replace me.
No, you're always
You've
trying
already had somebody in the studio here.
No, he was here to test and help me out.
And then he said,
well, he was like, hey, you know, if you need somebody to sit in
if
every
you're
once in a
really
while.
ready to move up to the big time, gee whiz.
No, I think the fan base would miss you, though.
I doubt that.
4 of them.
Yet.
Your wife and your 2 kids and you.
Gee, come on. Well, how was your weekend? It's Monday morning here.
Yeah, it's it's a good week. Let's see. It's Monday, so we just started.
Monday. You just have anything
nothing
big over the weekend?
Yeah, little bit. Well, the big thing I guess was Thursday night. You and I and Kelly, we all went to DOG.
That's the hat I'm wearing. DOG Distillery,
Distilling Company, and they're right here down the road. So
yeah.
Center,
My wife was in the cover band that was playing that night. It was a booked out place. Now I went there ahead of time to reserve a table because you were lollygagging around and you were not going to get there till late. So I held us a nice picnic table, and you complained the whole time.
No, well. So a couple things. One, you picked the worst picnic table. Like you got there early, supposedly.
Yes, I could have picked any table.
You could have picked any table. You picked. I mean, I guess you're trying to be kind to other people. The guests.
No, I picked this spot.
You picked the one
right close to the band.
It wasn't the closest to the band.
No.
So it wasn't the closest to the band, and it was the only one that had like direct sunlight, and it was like 85 degrees the whole time, and it was a picnic table, right? So, I'm getting old. I don't know if everybody else has experience, but I don't really, if I can sit in a chair
with a back
that is, and for hours, because we're going to be there for a few hours, right?
You poor guy.
Yeah, I don't know. When you go to, are you one of those? When you go to a Ohio State football game, don't you want one of those little backs or a football game? Yeah, exactly.
I pay extra for it.
You pay extra for it. But in this case, you couldn't get me a table.
And by the time you got there, all of the tables under the covering with backs were already taken.
Yeah, but because you were there early, I thought you would have got us one of those nice tables.
Yeah, there's the first thing you said. Yeah, even before, hi, Terry. You picked this table of any table? This is the table you picked?
I kind of have some expectations a little bit sometimes. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Sometimes.
I was hoping so. But yeah, no, it was really fun, and it was great to hear Kelly. And you got the chance to experience DOG Distilling Company, which is those owners. There are 4 of them, and they've done an amazing job with that place.
I mean, they knew you, and we got first class treatment.
Well, I don't know. It's because they just. I think they're really good, and if you are looking for a cool place, they are people that just know how to make everybody, I think, feel really good.
They make me feel.
Do a great job.
They live in your neighborhood.
They do. They do. They live in the neighborhood, and our daughter, and their daughter, one of the owners, they were really good friends. But I honestly believe that's just the way they are. Very hospitable, happy, want to make sure everybody feels at home, and I think that's if you want to go someplace and kind of just enjoy a cocktail in a great environment. Yeah, that's just a fun place.
And because she discovered I was there for the first time, she said, take a tour. And you came with us.
Yeah.
And we toured the still and all this stuff that I don't understand. And then we got into the back, and you saw a bunch of merchandise, hats.
Yep.
And you pulled one out and gave it to me.
Well, I just
you're not an owner of the company.
No, I know, but
you just gave away their merch to me. And then what was she going to say? I said, is this all right with you? And
I know how hospitable they are, right?
Oh, is that how it goes?
Yep. And so I knew, knowing them, how much when I saw the hat that they would want you to have that hat. And
yes.
And you rep it very well. So.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it stood for. The distillery of Galena.
Yeah, distillery of Galena.
And then they discovered that township's dry.
Yeah, where they were. And so they had to make the decision then to, either try to get that changed or they just very fortunately found this location and decided to go all in on it. And they have. And it's, like I said, I mean, it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah,
so
great
you get a
people.
chance. DOG Distilling Company.
And they like having live music, so we appreciate that. Well, what else did you do this weekend?
Not much then. I guess after that, hung out with the family, watched some movies, and spent time with my wife and my daughter.
Any good movies? Or?
We ended up watching Wicked.
Okay.
For with my daughter. So we're always looking for things to do. I didn't get. My son went and watched Spider-Man, and I really wanted to go see that. But
all right,
by the time I was made the decision, like they're really sold out everywhere.
Are they?
All the locations, pretty much all the seats the good seats at least were sold out. So,
yeah.
What about you though?
Well, we had a good weekend. We did that. She played again on Friday night in Westerville, and that was a nice place to go. And I guest preached at a church right around the corner
I thought about
here.
coming and seeing you guys on.
You thought about it, but you didn't.
Well, I didn't think you'd want to hang out with us 2 nights in a row. So.
Well, yeah.
And then here Monday.
Well, you would have made the
pickleball.
You would have made the 25th and 26th person there. No, it was fine. It's a beautiful congregation, and
I was talking about Westerville, not the.
Oh yeah, no.
I was talking about you
watching. I thought you meant where I was guest preaching.
No. I've had enough of that.
Oh, jeez.
No, I was thinking more about on Friday going to see Kelly play.
Yes,
and joining you for that.
Yes,
that's what I was.
They did a great job.
No, sorry.
And it's outdoor and it's wonderful. Yesterday after church, we got on a pontoon boat with some South Indian friends.
Oh, that's cool.
And they had never experienced anything like that, and their kids just absolutely love it. We took them to Treasure Island. Have we talked about Treasure Island?
No, so this was the first time they ever been out on a pontoon.
Yeah.
And you took them out.
Yeah, we took them out, and they loved it,
so
and their
cool.
kids.
What's Treasure Island?
Well, in our man-made lake, we talked about the dam a couple episodes ago. It's the dam, the man-made lake's called Elm Creek, and you take the pontoon boat, and they have this little island. It's about a half acre big and a lot of trees and stuff, and we tie up at the island, and then we take this treasure chest, a little plastic treasure chest. We put candy in it for the kids. We hide it, and then they go and find the treasure.
Wow. So you always have all these really cool. You are really good at this kind
of
stuff.
And the kids search it, but it's usually empty. But I just love this.
You should start hiding maybe we should go out there and hide some treasure out there.
Oh, maybe take a shovel and actually bury
hide
treasure.
some treasure around around here somewhere.
Yeah,
when I was a kid, there was this guy in Dromesville who he did this thing called the Honda Hunt.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't know how many years
he'd bury a Honda Civic?
He would he would bury the key to a Honda, like a scooter or a motorcycle or something, or a four-wheeler, an ATV or something. So he would buy it, and then he would get sponsorship from different businesses around the area.
Yeah.
And then he would go hide the Honda key. And then every week he would put out clues.
Okay.
And
this was up in your hometown.
Yeah, up there.
Wow.
Yep. And I don't mean to interrupt, but I didn't know
they're
if
like the nicest people in the
Yeah, well, we
world.
said that, right? Yeah, the friendliest is the nicest. It's the headquarters of the nice people.
Okay.
Headquarters of nice people, I think is what the sign says.
Okay.
And I guess it was on our water tower. But yeah, so anyways, when I was a kid, I loved hunting for the Honda key.
Yes. Did you find it?
No, but 2 of the years I remember, I literally was standing right on top of where the Honda key was. When later we would find out that it was found, and you're like, I was right there last week.
It was like the geocaching thing, or no?
Yeah, it was like geo. But he'd put clues. So what it was is you had to go to the businesses that help sponsor it.
Okay,
and you would go into the business and you would get the clues.
A clue
each week from that business. So if whatever store it was, they were part of the sponsorship, you would go in there and ask for the clue, and they would give you the clue for the week.
Okay.
And then each clue built up each week. And then you would go hunt. And I remember there was the one, it was I think it was just on I saw somebody post it on Facebook, but there was the Johnny Appleseed Monument up there in Mohican.
Okay, Mohican.
Yeah, up there near Mohican.
I don't know.
And,
you
and
mean
it's also
Mohican.
where there was I think it was the one massacre, like Greenville or Corpus. There was a massacre there that happened with the Indians and the settlers that were there, and there was a monument there. And I remember it was 8 and 1, 1 and 8, and you will find the key or something like that. Well, there's these 8 wooden posts that sit along the road.
Yes.
And we were like, it has to be these 8 posts.
Right here.
Yeah, and what it was is, so we were digging around there, but what it was is I guess you walked so many paces from one of the posts, and it was down in the ground there, 15 inches or something. He buried it pretty good.
Okay.
And but yeah, I remember when they found it, I was like, oh, we were just there. I can't believe it.
You were just there.
Yeah, I was there with.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Anyways, I know I interrupted you. Were talking about treasure hunt.
We put this treasure, and the kids, I doubt that a 2-year-old would find 15 inches down below, but they find this, got candy in it. But what I liked about Treasure Island yesterday was that there was a whole Spanish-speaking family on the island. They had set up tents, they had grills.
Oh, wow.
They were fishing for catfish. They were catching them and filleting them and putting them on the grill. And we asked them, is it okay that we come on? But here's the thing I love the most. Not everybody's like this. I love being in an environment where people hardly speak English and I hardly speak this language they speak.
Yeah.
And to try to make a friend.
Oh, well, I mean, you know how you do that.
How's that?
You smile.
You smile. And you learn a little bit of their language. And so I'm up there, and it's this a South Indian family, and they go, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, the same thing I did with you. You're just being friendly. Come with me, and let's go. And they loved it. We loved it. Kids loved it. My wife is rolling her eyes. But it was a great experience. And
that's pretty cool, though. So, I think about Treasure Island, right? You call it an island.
Yes.
But it was really, it was a hilltop, I guess, 50, 60 years ago before the dam, right?
Oh, yeah, that's
right. I mean, really, you think about it,
was a
right?
hilltop.
It was a hilltop. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. My high school history teacher, Mr. Barger, he's from right here.
Oh.
So, yeah, like down there, like I guess right where the mountain bike, right down the road here where the mountain bike area is, that used to be like his family farm and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he used to live all through here. It's kind of wild when I see him to talk to him and hear some of the stories, but he remembers when there were the roads that went through and everything. So
yeah,
but that was a hilltop, so people used to just hang out up there. And now
that's right.
Now
and
it's
this is this neighborhood, by the way, has a pretty famous person that used to visit. There's a good family here called the Goodings. There's the Gooding Inn, and they were from Massachusetts, and their next door neighbor in Massachusetts used to come every summer and stay with them and do something very important.
What's that?
His neighbor in Massachusetts was named John Chapman.
John Chapman.
And he would come every summer, and he would do something very important for Ohio.
What's that?
His name is also known as Johnny Appleseed.
Oh, and there you go. There you linked
and there
it all
you
the
go,
way
right
back
in our
around.
community. He would stay in our community at the Gooding Inn, and presidents have stayed at the Gooding Inn. And
wow, that's pretty
cool. The building
cool.
is still there at the fire station.
And you have
there
used to be, I don't think it's up there, the Johnny Appleseed Amphitheater up there in Mohican. And
we steal everything from Central Ohio.
Yeah, and then there was the Johnny. I said that the Johnny Appleseed Monument right up there was right there. Through, I guess he had gone through. That's interesting. I didn't know. I should know that. See, those are the things I don't know. My brain has been, my hard drive space has all been occupied with my childhood stories. And
maybe
life,
in another episode I'll tell you why it's called Lewis Center.
Oh, well, yeah, that would be interesting.
Another episode. But welcome back to the podcast,
welcome
everybody. The name of our podcast and how we got it started?
Well, I'm Jeremy Lewis.
And I'm
Terrible Lewis.
Terry Lewis. And we're not brothers.
We're not brothers, but we might be related.
We may?
I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well,
I was waiting for you to say we're not related.
We're not related.
That hurts my feelings every time.
Yeah, does it?
Well, I mean, it's like you're really intentionally trying to distance yourself.
No, as I've said in other episodes, I don't want your family to think there's a brother out there they didn't know about.
Hey, that's just the way it works sometimes.
Yeah, well, okay.
And so, this is a most unpredictable life podcast.
Yes.
The reason it's most unpredictable is in 1992, I was voted most unpredictable by the class of 1992 at Hillsdale High School. And so, I think they probably got that title right. And and here we are.
And so we're doing a year or a couple of years in the life of Jeremy Lewis.
Yeah, we're going through, and so
each episode.
Yeah, so right now we're starting off. Really, it's 2017, but the story, I think you can't do 2017 with a little bit of 16 in it.
So 2016, 2017.
Yeah, it's not all of 16. It's just a little bit of 16 into 17.
And we now have a website.
We do have a website.
What's the website?
It's a mouthful again, amostunpredictablelife.com. So
fantastic.
Yeah, and so
in the website I noticed that you say you split 4 eras of your life.
Yep.
What are they?
They are my childhood years.
Yep.
And then my college and army years. And then what I call the war years.
Yes.
And then I have Tesla.
And Tesla and beyond.
And beyond.
Tesla and beyond.
Yeah. I used to keep a Buzz Lightyear on my desk all the time. I love Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, okay. Anyways. Very good. And so you're saying we're getting in the DeLorean. We're going back to 2016, 17.
Yep.
Well, good. What was happening in culture back then?
Yeah, so, I was looking at the notes and stuff, and, I know you love all these songs. I mean, I guess Justin Bieber was big, and I know you were a big Justin Bieber fan. From what I've heard,
I was not. Justin Timberlake, is that who we're talking
Justin
about?
Bieber.
Bieber.
Bieber fever was still going on.
All right.
And I don't think that's like I don't know much about his era and stuff like that, but I guess it was "Love Yourself." That was the song that it was big popular. You know that song.
That's the song where my mama likes.
My mama likes everyone,
and she don't like you.
And she don't like you.
Is that song?
Yeah, it's that song. Right?
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah, see, you do like that song.
Yeah.
Let's hear you sing it.
I can't sing it.
You can sing it.
No, yeah.
My mama don't like.
Yeah, you can add that to your open mic night.
Yeah, tonight I'll probably be there.
Yeah,
yeah. I haven't got a set list yet. I haven't figured. I was gonna do some
Maybe
new songs.
you could add that one.
Yeah, I don't think so. We already heard that a little bit, and so
you said you sent me some notes. Movies that were big that year. Finding Dory. I love that movie.
You did like Finding Dory. That was a good movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
A little bit of Down Under.
Down Under.
Australia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was in it. But now you're more of a Star Wars fan, and I'm more of a Star Trek fan. Tell me about the Star Wars.
Well, that was Rogue One came out that year, so that was pretty cool. That's like shortly, I forget what year they started rebooting. I guess it was 2008 maybe. But anyways, they had Rogue One was a great movie that came out and did really well. You know what I really liked though was Civil War. That was the Avengers Marvel. So
okay.
I
thought we're talking about the Civil War.
No. That was Civil War was the Avengers Marvel movie. And I think now the Marvel movies have probably been done a lot. Like even though Spider-Man came out, and I'm super excited. I want to see Spider-Man.
So you're saying Civil War? So some of the Avengers were fighting the other Avengers?
Yep. They broke out.
Really?
Yep. You haven't seen this movie?
No.
You need to catch up with the times. That's a good movie.
Now,
have you watched any of the Avenger movies?
Is this like
Iron Man,
Hulk Hogan, and
Incredible Hulk,
Incredible Hulk,
Hulk Hogan, yeah. But no, it's that was Civil
Spider-Man
War.
and Superman in there.
No, well, Spider-Man is. That's when Spider-Man gets introduced in Civil War.
But Superman's not an Avenger.
No, he's DC.
Is Batman an Avenger?
No, you're mixing. You can't be doing this, Terry. You're mixing things. That's like mixing Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah,
is Captain Kirk and Darth Vader, are they brothers?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, see, so
don't do it.
Yeah,
but there was a Star Trek movie that came out that year too, and you didn't even know it. You know what? It was Star Trek Beyond.
Oh, really?
And did I ever tell this story? 2016.
Oh, this is 16, but yeah.
2016, it came out, and on the radio there was a call-in show. Ever tell you this story?
A what though?
A call-in. There was a call-in.
Oh, a call-in.
You
show.
Call in, and
I mean, I heard I couldn't know what I heard. It was like Cohen.
radio show.
Call-in show.
Be the seventh caller, and you win 2 tickets to the premiere showing of the Star Trek Beyond movie. And so I was driving. I said, "Kelly, call it up," and she called up.
She called in.
She was the seventh caller, and
lucky number 7 again.
Lucky number 7, and. So a couple of days later, they called and they said, "Are you able to go to the movie in a couple of weeks and on a weekend?" And I go, "Yeah, of course, a weekend." They go, "No, I mean to fly to see it." And I go, "What do you mean fly to see it?" And you don't know what you won, did you? No. They said 2 people from every state in America. We're flying them to San Diego, putting you up for 3 days.
What?
And you're seeing the premiere in an outdoor IMAX at the San Diego Comic-Con. And it starts with Conan O'Brien coming out and interviewing all the stars in the show, past Star Trek stars. And instead of showing the movie After Dark with the soundtrack, where the San Diego Symphony is going to be playing the soundtrack live. While we're watching the movie.
Goodness.
And we went. We stayed on Coronado Island.
Did you really? Wow.
And so
that
happened in 2016.
Oh my goodness. You probably love that.
Yeah, so I'm a Star Trek fan.
I know, but I'm just still amazed by that's quite a prize.
Kelly wins things on the radio.
Yeah.
I've never won anything, but yeah, that was
I've won a few
prize.
CDs back in the day. I used to call when I was stationed in Virginia. It was B103, I think it was. But I would have to be up for PT.
Yeah.
And nobody was up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
And I felt like I could literally call in and ring, and they'd be like, "You're caller number 2, sorry." And then I don't know if you'd be caller 11 or
Yeah,
whatever
right.
it was, right? Or 10, but I could call in again and be like, no, you're caller number 7, sorry. And I would call right back in. And then, so like, there wasn't obviously a lot of people calling in.
Oh,
And-
I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
and I would just keep calling in. And
Kept going.
I won, I don't know how many times, but just CDs.
Because nobody else was calling.
Because nobody else was calling and nobody's up.
Oh,
I
it's
guess,
you
at 5.
again. No,
yeah,
no.
yeah. And anyways, that's a whole nother story because I ended up going out on a date with the radio host.
You did not.
Yeah, yep. Rebecca Wild.
Was that her stage name?
Yeah, that was her stage name. So I don't
All
mind
right.
saying it. And she was a
So
petite,
you don't
radio
mind
personality. But
saying it.
yeah.
And what about sports? Big year in Ohio
Oh
for
my
sports.
goodness, it was so big and so sad.
All right,
I mean,
talk
so
to us.
big and happy, and then we had the Cavaliers win, right?
Yes.
So the Cleveland Cavaliers win. We have the big
With LeBron
with
James.
LeBron, the big championship, which was amazing.
Yes.
That was awesome.
And it was we weren't likely to win. We were behind.
Yeah, we were down 3-1, right?
Yeah.
And then came back and won that championship, which was amazing. But then we had the Cleveland Indians with the Cubs, right? And it felt destined, like because we were up 3-1.
3-0.
Yeah, and
Maybe,
I thought,
I don't know, yeah.
well, I don't
Maybe-
know. I thought it was 3-1 too.
3-1. Okay.
Maybe it was. Again, we're not the best at knowing all the stats.
No.
Somebody will
But
correct
we
us
were
on that.
ahead. We only needed
We were
one
up-
win.
We only needed one win,
And they needed either 3 in a row or 4 in a row.
and they came back and won that. Kyle Schwarber, I remember,
I-
right? And them guys. I mean, it was.
I was heartbroken.
That seemed like such a. So it's interesting, how we won with the Cavaliers, which I was waiting for a Cleveland
Right.
moment.
Yes.
And we actually did the opposite. But then the Cleveland Indians losing the World Series was a typical Cleveland
Yeah. And
experience,
what I
unfortunately.
remember,
It's like the shot.
what I
and the
remember the
drive,
most
the fumble.
about those
Yeah.
about those games was that whenever it was a Cubs game, home game, they had the Michigan head football coach Jim Harbaugh in the audience with his dad, and they kept putting a camera on Jim Harbaugh. And I am a Buckeye fan. You're Buckeye fan. And what are you showing Jim Harbaugh from that
right. Why do we want to
state
see
up
that?
north?
Yeah, I think. Well, they were Cubs fans. They weren't Cleveland. Cleveland
no.
even though they're Toledo, right? That's the thing about they're both from Toledo, and that's always the thing about Toledo folks, which you'll do better in Toledo, but you don't know what
That's
side.
the
You don't
thing.
know what side they're going to be.
I
on.
think Urban Meyer and Jim Harbaugh, what's his name? I don't know. They were born in the same hospital in Toledo, I think in the same week,
Really,
as was my wife.
really.
In the same hospital,
Oh my
the same
word!
week.
Same week as Jim Harbaugh
And Urban Meyer.
and Urban Meyer. Wow. So that's some greatness right there. Well, we knew that, and Kelly's the most, the best of them all.
That's right. And
So-
your notes said that this was the year that Pokemon Go.
Yeah, Pokemon Go came out.
That was insane cultural moment.
Yeah, that was pretty big. I remember.
Did you do it?
Yeah, our kids did it.
No.
Yeah. We still do. It's so funny. We it's been a little bit, but just like last year, there was a point there where us and the neighbors we would go to we would actually all go Pokemon Go together.
And was it like you went to parks or
Yeah,
things?
we go down to the dam. And we go down there. We go all over the place, yeah. And we do these raids or battles or whatever. And but I mean, I was playing it a lot there for a little while, and then I stopped with my kid because it was fun to do with my children, right? It
Yeah.
was something to, it was kind of
It was
like,
like
geocaching,
geocaching,
yeah. And so,
Well, I did it, and I never did it, and our kids never did it. But people would be walking around the church building in the middle of the week.
yeah,
Well,
I believe it.
And,
Yeah,
and they were, and I would go, do you need help? What's going on?
somebody puts you down as
you
a
need somebody? And they said,
arena.
no, we're just, and they were like zombies. I mean, like yeah, it's crazy.
I know a girl who ran her car into a light pole. It wasn't technically Pokemon Go. It was the precursor to Pokemon Go. She ran her car into a light pole because she was out
Yeah.
doing this in her car and driving at the same time in a parking lot and smashed her car.
Are there Pokemons like in your house?
There can be, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
They come and go?
Yep. And sometimes you get like rare ones, and sometimes you get bigger ones.
There
and-
could be one in this room right now?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's kind of freaky, right?
That is freaky.
No, but
All right. Well, let's talk about 2016 in each of our lives. We're going to spend most of the time on you. For me, we did that thing in San Diego.
That is so cool, though.
And it was also the year we were brand new empty nesters.
Did you meet anybody famous while you were there, or you just saw them from a distance?
Well, my wife Kelly.
Well, yeah.
I didn't meet her there.
Yeah.
Yes. What's the Zoe? What's her name?
I don't know.
She's in every movie. The Avatar movies and.
I'm not the best person.
Yes.
You always ask me these questions.
Yes.
You put me on the spot. I'm the like this is like math in public.
Yes.
You put me in the spot.
Yes,
like,
her
like I'm a walking
and
encyclopedia.
And then Chris Pine, I think, is Captain Kirk.
I have no idea.
And all right, well, you don't know these things. Anyway, yes, we met some people that were famous.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was good. Well,
anyways.
what my problem is with this pass, it was happening on opening day of the San Diego Comic-Con. Oh, that's great. I don't know what a San Diego Comic-Con is.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. And so we didn't go any place else besides this outdoor IMAX theater. And we were there for 4 days.
So you skipped the whole Comic-Con.
I didn't know what it was.
Oh my goodness.
And
you missed
people
out on
who are
so
listening, if you've ever been to a Comic-Con, give us a note in the
I've never been to
comments.
one. I want to go to one so bad.
But I didn't know this is
You
the
missed out.
biggest one
Oh, yeah.
of the world. This Comic-Con. More stars come out for all of this.
Yeah, you missed out on a lot of good.
Yeah, well, yeah. And
probably best because Kelly then, like my wife when she met Matt Damon.
Yes.
You don't got to keep your
I've
wife.
told that story to a number of people now. That's right. That's right.
Next thing you know, your wife's running off like, hey, look at this,
And Kelly and I are
She would
empty
never do that,
nesters
but-
in 2016, and we love to travel. So it was the first time we went to Italy. We took a trip in 2016.
Oh, okay.
In Italy.
Where'd you go?
Well, we took a tour, one of those tours you get on a bus.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we did southern Italy and Capri and up to Florence and Cinque Terre and ended in Venice.
Nice.
So it was a great, great, great trip. But you've got so many things that happen. It's a big defining year for Jeremy Lewis.
Well, it's a big shift year for me.
Yeah, big shift year.
This was a big year for my life. Again, you just have those moments, and that's kind of where we've started. How we've defined these eras too, as some of these big shifts. Right, we started in '92 because it was me graduating.
Yes,
obviously '73 because I was born.
That's it.
And
the world changed after
and then
that.
2001 was 9/11, right, and that changed the world. And now this was a huge,
So you were in the Army.
I was in the
How
Army.
How old are you?
You got to ask me questions like this.
Come on, it's a pretty easy. I thought it'd start easy.
Yeah, so 17, I would have been what?
You're 17?
No, 2017.
Okay.
I would have been 43 years old, basically.
And you were in the Army.
I was in the Army, yeah.
And you were a rank?
I was Lieutenant Colonel. Yep, I was Lieutenant Colonel in the Army.
And are you overseas now? Or
nope, we're stationed in Maryland. My wife and I, we were stationed in Maryland, so we've been there for 4 years.
Yes.
And we got there in 14. So, at this point, where it's I guess that's only 2.5 years or whatever at this point. It was almost 3 years, I guess. Actually, we'd stay there for 4.
So this has been a career, and is the Army like a contract's up, and then you're a free agent, and you decide whether to re-up or not, or what brought about the change?
No, so you basically you can get out as an officer pretty much any time you want. You just you resign, right? You decide to do a resign or a release. They call it release from active duty too. You can do that. So for me, at this point I'd been in for so long that I was like, all right, we're going to do 20 years. And so when we got to Maryland, after having been deployed, five, really 6 times at that point, I've been, to Bosnia, Iraq twice, Afghanistan 3 times. And really I remember my last deployment, even before I left, honestly. There's pictures of me saying goodbye to my daughter, Emily, who was, just a few months old. But really, the other side of it was my other children. They were getting older. And as they got older, this was my 3rd deployment in 5 years, So, I did 5 deployments in 10 years. So every 2 years, basically. But some of these had gotten really compressed. And I remember saying goodbye that night to my daughter and my son, my 2 oldest. And,
knowing you'd be gone how long?
9 months.
9 months.
9 months. And so they were just really broken up. And, when they're younger, they don't seem to affect them as much in a way. I'm sure it does affect them, but when you're saying goodbye, it's not quite the same as I noticed it when I was saying goodbye to Lauren and Noah as they were older this time. And it was hard. It was super hard. I remember telling my wife, man, I don't know if I can keep doing these. And it wasn't, again, there's not. It's interesting. I think most soldiers are probably this way. It's like not the deployment that's hard, right? It's not like, oh yeah, you're going to go through some hard things, right? You're in danger. You're living in a very austere environment. You're giving up a lot of things. Like I can do that. Staying away from my family and seeing what it was doing to them is the hardest part.
Talk to me. I know it's an emotional thing, but talk to me about the toll on military families when the military person's deployed for 9 months.
Yeah, I mean, you're gone. I mean, you are gone in a lot of ways. At least for me, my deployments always seemed that way. Especially, we were always kind of the first to do something, and so, we didn't have always, especially the early deployments, the communication. Like I know some people, they would be like, we talked every day and stuff like that.
Oh.
I didn't have that kind of access. I'd probably say by this deployment, but I was not going to leverage it because I knew I was the kind of leader said, if my soldiers can't do it, I'm not going to do it. Okay. So I would try to limit my communication to once a week if I was, if I could. But for you're leaving and your wife, she steps up and she, Lori would take care of everything, and we had at this point in my last deployment 4 kids.
Wow.
And
how old is your oldest now? Probably 8 or 10.
Well, in 13 she's 10 years old. Noah's 8 and
in 16.
In 16.
2016.
No. Oh, in 16. No, in 16. When I made the decision,
I
was going back my last deployment.
Yeah,
she was 10, 8, 6, and then a few months old.
Wow.
And then, but in 17 now, Lauren is 13, really. Yeah, 13 years old. So, but
wow,
we had gone through all that. And so, kind of when I came out of my last deployment, it was like, we're moving on. And I just remember talking to my branch and asking them, hey, get me as close as you can to home, which would be Ohio, but the best they could do was Maryland. And it was my first real assignment that I got to be kind of not in the field in a way, right? I mean, I wouldn't say it was my first, but it was pretty like the longest when where I wasn't going to be out in the field all the time. And I got an organization that was majority civilian employees, Department of Defense civilians, and then a few military. So, we get there and the plan is we'll go to 20, and at the 20-year mark, the Army will say, hey, it's time to PCS or move. And it's kind of the normal move is, and you drop your retirement if you're planning on to retire. And we were, so that was the plan. We would do 20, and because we were enjoying where we were at, we had a beautiful home and great friends, had built it was the longest we'd been anywhere in our military career. So it was like, all right. And then when they asked us to, move, we just said, hey, we're going to retire. And at that point, they just leave you there and you go through start the retirement process. So that's what we were doing.
My goodness, what is the process of retirement? I mean,
well,
does it take a long time? Or?
I mean, they give you I'd say it's not that it takes a long time. It's that it's great that the military does that. They kind of give you a long time. At this point, 6 months to a year, you can start the process of you drop your paperwork, and then they have these classes you can take, transition assistance programs and things like that. So they teach you take these classes that teach you how to interview, how to write a resume, how to do your LinkedIn. And so and you can take those classes like twice, I believe. So I was like, I'm definitely going to take advantage of that. So I started that process. And I remember I created this, and I went there, the instructor was like, if you're not LinkedIn, you're linked out. And so they helped you build your resume. And I had friends. Once I built my first resume at that class, I sent it out to all my friends that were already in the civilian sector. Heidi, John, Clark. I always went by, but
so you're saying that you're in the military, you're getting paid by the Army, but they want you to be successful on the other side of retirement. So you're spending your time doing job hunting.
Yep. So they give you time. You're not going to spend all your time doing it, but they afford you time to make sure. Because the Army, I think that's a great thing about it, right? Is not only they want you to have success but they also want to make sure you're taken care of when you get out.
Yeah.
And so
very nice.
Yeah. So I remember taking that class, and it really helped kind of get me heading in the right direction. So once I did that, I built my resume. Then I built my LinkedIn off the resume, and I did go ahead also, and I had paid somebody to help me take my military resume, because I had my military resume and I had to civilianize it in a way. So I had paid somebody to help me do that. Now, that wasn't the best product at like the end that I would use, but it was a good product that helped me now think about my titles differently instead of being like, I'm a lieutenant colonel, major. What's that equivalent in terms of like a manager or senior manager or director level stuff? So I was learning all that. So I built my LinkedIn. So once I built my LinkedIn, you get LinkedIn gave me a year of free, like what do they call it? Premium LinkedIn. So I kind of gamified it a little bit. So when I got on there, well, I started noticing that there was these leaderboards. I don't know if they do it anymore, but there were these leaderboards that said, in the all the people that are listed in the United States Army, there was like 250,000 of them affiliated within your profile of the profiles that were on there at LinkedIn at the time. You are, you're in the bottom 25% right now of views of like how many people have viewed your profile. Well, somewhere in there, I came up with an idea that I learned that if I looked at you, and you can't do this, I don't think anymore, but if I looked at you, you would see that I looked at you, and then you would look at me back. And I was like, well, I need to get my profile to the top of this leaderboard, and I need it to be people I'd learned about hiring, talking to my friends, John and Heidi and everybody else, and Matt, about hiring managers. In the civilian sector, it's not an assignments officer, it's a hiring manager, a guy that he's the person that needs you. So you got to find those people. And I knew what level I wanted to be at. So I was reaching out to vice presidents. I was connecting with vice presidents of major companies. And I knew I wanted to go private sector. I was like, I'm going to go private sector, which a lot of military, they transition still into contractor jobs.
Right.
But I had made the decision I was to do private sector. So I was, looking at Amazon, looking at Microsoft, looking at all these big companies, Walmart.
For hiring director positions, vice president,
whatever level. I just knew I was looking. I would try to connect with them, get them to connect with me, and I was looking at them. I would just look at their profile, and sure enough, when I looked at their profile, they're like, "Oh, who's this guy?" And they would look at me back, and so every day I just set a metric. Said every day I was going to look at 10 profiles.
Okay.
And so I did that. So every day I would get on LinkedIn and I would knock out my 10, maybe more, but usually 10.
What was it about your military career that would make you good at the hiring process? Looking at all your soldiers and knowing which one I want to build in my team? What was it?
Well, I think it's a combination of the leadership aspect, this whole concept of being an innovative leader who can lead, build great teams,
yes,
who can work in an ambiguous environment.
Right.
So I had kind of done all that, like being the first going into anything, you have to just figure things out.
Right.
It's kind of like this podcast, right? People are like, you're going to do a podcast. So I didn't get a class or anything, right?
Right.
But what I did was I had to figure all this out, right? And so I just did. I just started trying to learn as much as I can, and I just built it, right? Nobody came in and set it up. I just started building everything.
I think that would make you valuable in all kind of companies. Take me back just for a minute, if you will. You just participated in the commissioning of your son in the Coast Guard, and that was a big event.
He enlisted. Yep.
He enlisted.
Yeah.
And what is it like when you retired your commission? Is there a big event? Is there a big party? Is there something with bells and whistles?
A big retirement ceremony. And, sometimes they're big and sometimes they're small. Sometimes the bases or the posts. You got me saying base all the time.
Don't blame me.
I think it's because my son's on the Coast Guard now. I keep like, man, how did I convert to base versus post?
Yeah.
But on post, I noticed that in one of the things I kept saying base. But they have like a big events. But, when I retired, our unit was just doing a special thing. They were, and I had helped build ceremonies for other people when they were retired.
Oh.
And so they were pretty nice and it was great. And but it was the leadership that said, hey, you know what? You're retired. We want to honor you well.
Yes.
And so when I retired from the Army, they had this amazing ceremony. It's just me. And then it was in the atrium of the main headquarters building there in ATEC. And
your wife and kids could come?
My wife, yeah, and they sent out messages to everybody. There were probably 100 some people. It's just me. I mean, they just did such a great job. There's a video of it on somewhere out there of that whole ceremony. But yeah, my wife came, family came. It was a very big honoring event.
Any people throughout your military career, like back in the beginning and on?
Matt came out.
Okay,
Matt was there. It's so funny. There was this couple who years earlier. I was driving home and they were broke down the middle of the road and I pushed them and it was literally like 10 degrees outside. So it was freezing.
Yeah.
And I pushed their car off the side of the road and had them get in my car. And then I drove and then their cousin came or their nephew came and I drove off. Well, when I drove off, I had their keys to their car still. So anyway, we end up finding them through Facebook.
Oh my, okay.
I posted on Facebook. I got these. I did a good deed, but I stole their car keys.
Oh my.
Anyways, the funny thing is they came to my retirement ceremony, so they showed up, and it was like so wild to see that they cared so much about that event they showed up. But it was a great event.
Great. So once again, 2016, you're ending, and you're how old?
Like I said, 43 years old, probably. Making me do math in public.
Too young to totally retire.
Yeah, too young. So I'm looking. I'm building my LinkedIn stuff.
Yes.
And I'm not getting anything. So I've been doing this for probably 6 or 7 months, right? I'm just doing this thing.
Yes.
But I was noticing that I was moving up on the Army leaderboard for views.
Okay.
And it was cool, pretty cool. So I got up to like 1,200.
Okay.
Out of 250,000. Like it says, you are number 1,200.
People are looking at you.
And my goal was to get within 1,000. I don't know if I ever got. I just remember seeing 1,200, and I was like, wow, I'm doing pretty good here.
You called it a recon mission.
It was a recon. I was out there just trying to figure out how do I get my face in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting much job offers, So now it's December. I can go and start working in March. So I'm about within 4 months.
Okay.
I haven't really heard much, but I did have friends who said, you know what, Jeremy, and I really appreciated this. They said, when you get out, a friend of mine who worked at Texas Instruments, she said to me, when you get out, I will have a job for you at this price, at this salary. And you know what? And I don't know if that was, I assume it was real in a way, if I would be willing to move down there to Texas and all that. But like, I will tell you what it is. It took pressure off me. It said, okay, I am going to be okay.
Okay.
I need not to worry about this. And I think so many people when they transition, they're worrying the whole time.
Yeah.
And so, you're like, because you're not get anything, but that helped. And then all of a sudden in December, it was December 8th, actually.
Okay.
I come into work and I get this message on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And, I keep it because it's like, wow, there's such a life-changing event, right? So I get this message on LinkedIn, and it's from a gentleman who's a recruiter at Tesla, and all it says is, hey, my name is Austin, but he lets me know that he's a recruiter, and he's looking for just a service manager candidate for this new location in Baltimore that they're opening. I'll be honest with you, I didn't see anything in that of what the position was, whatever it was. All I saw was it was a position with Tesla. And so that came in at 2:52, it says. And then I didn't, though, see it probably, I guess it was until that afternoon or that evening at 9 o'clock. I say, thanks for reaching out. I'd love to hear more about this. Because when I saw that, I thought, how in the world, this can't be real. Like, did Tesla just randomly, somebody send me a No. And of course, always worried about, like, is this fake and phishing and scams? And so I just responded that evening.
And you've been familiar with Tesla.
And I've been hugely familiar with Tesla.
You had been a fan in the military.
I had been a super fan.
Even back in deployed days.
Yep. So we go all the way back. Really, it was like 2003. And I remember telling him this at my interview.
2003.
2003. I remember I'd watched these videos of where they were first building, like, it was just literally like little buggies that were piped. They made them out of, like a piped out car. And they were
a little chassis.
And they had the electric motor in there, and they had batteries on it, and they were just zipping around everywhere. And I saw it on like Popular Science and Popular Mechanics. I'm a huge fan. So I had followed them from there. That in 2005, when the Army started their enterprise email, my password was Tesla Roadster. So that was in 2005. And then I have a Facebook post in 2008 where a friend of mine, Julie, she was asking, hey, what car should I buy? And I just say, get a Tesla Roadster, right? Because they were just starting to come out.
That's when they started producing them.
Yeah, it was 2008 is when they started the Roadster where it was the Lotus and everything like that. So I was like, oh, you got to get a Roadster. At least put an order in for it.
Yes.
And so I loved them so much. And I was a big, and I actually had a dream or plan, because I remember in our small town up in Ashland, Bill Harris he retired from the Marine Corps. He came back from war, and he had started his first car dealership, which was a Chevy car dealership.
Okay.
And I always had this, I didn't know what the Tesla model was going to be, but I always thought in my head, well, I'm going to come back from Iraq in 2005. And you know what? Maybe I'll get out and I'll start this Tesla car dealership. Well, that never happened, and they didn't follow that model, but I remember having that thought. And then finally I heard that Tesla was going to IPO in 2010, and I had like some mutual funds and stuff, but I never bought really stock. I
Yes.
bought a couple electric car stocks. I believe that the future was electric. But so in 2010 when Tesla IPO'd, I had bought shares for at that point would have been $25, $26 a share, and so in 2010, and then we were in Afghanistan. So because we were in Afghanistan, I'd bought a small amount, a few $1,000s or whatever it was. I think it was like $5. And then my lieutenants, though, I'm a major in Afghanistan, and my lieutenants, they're day trading. They're out there because they were just teaching each other. It was like 4 or 5 of them,
Yeah.
and they would talk about stocks all the time. Well, my wife sent me a care package, and she knew I was a huge Tesla fan.
Yeah.
And in the care package, there was Wired magazine, and it had Elon on the front of the Wired magazine. So I get that care package, and I'm going through the magazine and stuff. And I remember I walk out of my office, which, this is a big, for anybody, we're northern Afghanistan. We built this talk out of plywood, right? It's not like anything fancy. It's this plywood building. I walk out of the talk and I have the magazine and I tell all of them, I'm like, this is the stock you should be buying, right? And I tell them, and of course, if you know me, I just like these, I get a little over fanatic and talk a little too much about things. And I talked a lot.
You have to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody here, you should go buy it yourself.
Did any of them listen to you?
None of them listened to me.
None of them. And they've regretted it ever since.
There is a text thread out there. Later, even multiple times, and I actually would hire one of the gentlemen to become, and he would join the Tesla team, actually, Ski. But yeah, we joke, and I was like, if you always would have only listened to the Wise Major in 2010, it'd have been different. So that's how big a fan I was. So having bought that, and
who
just
else was
them,
doing it? Was Prius doing it?
Prius doing what?
Electric cars.
They had hybrids. Yeah, there wasn't really full electric cars out there. There were a couple cars that were like, people had done some, Chevy had done one, and it, there's a whole documentary on EV1 or whatever.
And so you've got electric cars, but then you also have the automated what's the language?
Autopilot.
Autopilot.
And then full self-driving.
And nobody else was doing that.
Yeah, they were the beginning of that. So I get this message, and on LinkedIn next thing you know, it just started this. And so this is December 9th, and then we had a few conversations, and we're going back and forth, and here's I'm talking to him on the 12th, and scheduling everything, and then all of a sudden, we talked. Here's the 15th, and on the 15th, he says, he enjoyed our conversation, right? And he's going to set me up with the HR rep, and he said this will be consideration for a regional service manager role.
Regional,
so literally,
it was going to be a one location.
It was going to be one location in December of 8, and then by the 15th, it changed to now they're like, hey, you seem like you probably would be able to run a whole region. So anyways, let's say, I like take a short story and make it long, but
no, I love this story.
It went from, going through to just all of a sudden getting this LinkedIn message to getting this like, here you are, we're now gonna put you through the process of becoming possibly a regional manager at Tesla.
Tell me about the rest of the hiring process then.
Yeah, so I remember.
Had to interview?
Well, I remember we had everybody, all Lori's family were out there around Christmas time in Maryland. We had this beautiful home that we were renting from the Hoobers, and so everybody's out there again, kind of like the Christmas when I got engaged.
Yes,
when everybody's there. That's what I like about Lori's family. They do those big Christmases where everybody's together. Now everybody came out. Her aunt's out there, her uncle's out there. Everybody's out there, and which is great. We're enjoying it, but hey, we're gonna have an interview, and so I'm like, hey guys, and I remember telling people, they're like, Tesla, and I don't. Again, what people don't know is I don't tell anybody anything until it's going to happen.
Okay.
I'm a very, I think of on a podcast. I was trying to somewhat keep this on a download, and then you would go around and tell everybody, hey, we're doing a podcast.
No.
Which is fine.
You're Lewising the story.
No, you would. And then I would be like, no. Like, what's,
okay.
But like, it's just the way it is. And so like that same thing happened. I was like, well, I didn't want to tell anybody, but I had to tell everybody like, hey, I need everybody to kind of leave. Because this is a big wide open area and I had nowhere to interview. So like we just had to have them leave for a couple hours, I remember.
Why?
Because it was going to be over Zoom and stuff like that. The first few interviews, and I really wanted to get this right. I didn't want to have And
so
sure enough,
you kicked your wife's family out of the house.
Yeah, we did.
For you to do a Zoom.
And I appreciate their
Oh, they love you still.
Yeah. And I do remember like people were getting out of the shower, and I'm like looking at the watch. I'm like, hey, we're supposed to be starting. But anyways, they all went on little trips and stuff, so I could do that first interview. And so did that first interview, and that then led to more. And then finally, I remember it was Martin Luther King weekend. They were like, hey, we want to fly you out to Fremont to do some in-person interviews.
This is headquarters?
This is out at the headquarters, Tesla headquarters. So over the Martin Luther King weekend of 2017, because I was off.
This is Las Vegas?
No.
Fremont. Where's Fremont?
Fremont is in California.
California.
Yep. So they flew me out there, and it was. I mean, at this point, I'd already done like 2 or 3 interviews over the phone, maybe 4, and then I get out there and they run me through like 6 or 7 more. So it was like total of like 11 interviews.
Wow.
And it was just a gauntlet of individual, like my peer level, and then there were like obviously my boss, and there was a panel interview, and then there was the vice president, and so they just kept running me through these things. And the truth is I had never interviewed before. Like I had never my last interview was probably I kind of did a sort of one in the Army, but it wasn't.
Okay.
Like, they told me, like, the one guy said, hey, you got to interview for this position, but we're not going to interview. We're just going to talk. It's just, we're going to say you interviewed. But like, back when I was trying to apply for my Army scholarship, right?
Right.
I never interviewed for jobs. And then all of a sudden here I'm doing my first ones, and it was my first job, and I'm doing this now at Tesla. And so it was kind of amazing how that worked out, because then after a full day of interviews, and it was funny because I wore this really, I went and bought a suit. I didn't own a suit.
Okay.
I bought 2 suits, wore the suit to Fremont. I get there, and of course, everything there's like California casual.
Oh.
So I show up into the headquarters. I'm in a full suit, which I still recommend is always the right thing to do.
Okay.
But there are people in shorts and cut off shirts and nobody was, Elon, like, he just wears the cargo pants and a black t-shirt all the time. Right.
Okay.
And here I am in a full suit and for my interview, but it was a great day. And I just remember going through that whole process and just being amazed. And, but when and so then we're done, and I go out and I get my car, and I remember I wanted to go see the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
So I'm driving towards the Golden Gate Bridge, and I get this call, and it's Austin, and he's like, hey, it's time to talk numbers. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, I'm like, wait, I'm just processing in my head.
Yes.
Like, like, what does this mean? Like, okay, I don't know. I don't know how this works.
Yes.
I just remember my friends had told me, said, hey, whatever the offer is, don't accept it. Counter with 10%. Right.
Okay.
And I remember, okay, sure. I'm like, but I remember I'm like, all right, let me pull over. So I'm on my way to Golden Gate Bridge, and I remember I just got off at an exit, and I pulled into this spot.
That's probably wise.
And it wasn't I remember the neighborhood, there's graffiti everywhere. I pulled into this, like, those like used tire and hubcap shops.
Yes,
That's exactly like the parking lot I pull into. It's like,
okay.
It's like got like their advertisement is made out of graffiti.
Okay.
Right. And they've got tires stacked up that are used, and there's just dirt everywhere. And that's where I'm at here near outside of San Francisco. And I pull into there, and I'm just sitting there on the con. I'm like, okay. And I just was pretty honest with them. I kind of did everything you're not supposed to do.
Okay.
And he's like, well, what do you want? What are you looking for? And I said, well, here's what I make now. Here's what I was kind of expecting. And I just laid it all out for him. You're in a negotiation, you're supposed to let them make the first offer, and then you counter.
Okay.
And you know what? He was very gracious, and he said, okay. And he came back with a number that was higher than what I expected. And of course I thought, well, okay, I'm supposed to counter. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I did. I countered the 10. I took that number and countered with 10%. And he's like, okay. And it was just kind of wild to me. He's like, all right, we're going to, I think he said to take it back to the hiring manager. I think he's doing his procedure. And then, but it wasn't very long after that. But because I remember going up to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was such a beautiful day.
Yes.
And, I got pictures there, and then I remember getting called back and saying, "Hey, we'll go ahead and we're going to send you an offer to sign." But I remember I got back home, and they sent me the offer, and then I was so surprised, because then I was like, "Wow, I can't believe this is." I was just so excited about my salary, but I was more excited about working for Tesla.
Yeah,
and because I believed so much.
Yes, you've been a fan for so long.
Yeah, I believed in that company and what they were doing, and so I was like, "Yeah, I can't believe this is going to happen." But then they're like, "Oh, and by the way, we're going to give you this much stock." And I was just like, Oh, I didn't even think like.
Okay.
I felt kind of bad countering a little bit because now I'm going to get the stock.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're going to get the stock, and I had no idea how that was going to work. So I remember calling my brother, and he set me up with a gentleman to talk to about whether I should do options or I should do just straight RSUs. And anyways, I settled for a mix in there, and yeah, that was how the process went. Next thing you know, I have signed a contract, and I'm going to be a Tesla employee.
And this is going to be the North.
Yeah, so I was going to be
England?
the very first regional manager for the Mid-Atlantic region for Tesla.
Okay.
That region did not exist. They were breaking it because there was like 6 regions at that point, and they were breaking out these into smaller ones. And I was going to have basically the DC, Virginia, all the way up. DC, it was basically DC, Baltimore, and Philadelphia market.
Yes.
But that whole area was called the Mid-Atlantic, and I was going to be the very first.
Okay,
regional for
so at what year were people just seeing them for the first time on the street?
At that point in time, I believe that there were about 150. There were less than 200,000 total Teslas in existence. So at this point you've had the Roadster out.
Yes.
Less than 2,500 of them. Then you had the Model S had come out.
Okay.
And so that came out in 12 into 13. And then you have the Model X has just been released in 16. So the Model X is a brand new car.
Wow.
And you're selling these. And when I say that, you say Model X, like the very small quantities. I mean, the Founders and the first signature edition ones have just come out. And
so, but it was hitting pretty hard. I mean, was it 2016 where you would go in, like I remember here in Central Ohio, Easton would have a shop. You'd go in, and it would be months and months and months waiting list to be able to get a Tesla.
Yeah, so there was sorry. I should not be chewing ice.
Yeah, what are you doing?
My wife's going to kill me. That's like her worst thing in the world is listening to somebody chew it. And I'm sure there's like a gazillion people out there.
All right.
But yeah, so at that point, yes, there was a waiting list. And when the Model 3, which will be later in 17 will come out, there was a massive waiting list on that. So yeah, it was usually a wait. Yeah. So Tesla had everything in their model and it still is. You order the car and then we'll manufacture it for you. There's no inventory sitting. It isn't like a traditional where you.
Is that still today?
It's pretty much still today that way. Yep. There's small inventories, and again, I mean, I've been retired now for 3 years, but most of the cars, you order them and then you're going to get it delivered.
Wow. And so you start the job.
Yeah, so I remember after I got accepted, Brian, who would become my boss, possibly one of the best guys I've ever worked with in my life.
Okay.
An amazing leader.
What made him so good?
His ability to just to do so much. To put it all together and for him alone, he's putting, he had all North America for service. So he's putting all these different locations, different personalities. He's working with Elon, right? And he's got all these customers and
new locations are opening all the time.
New locations. You're scaling this business that's literally getting ready to catch fire, right?
Yes.
And so he's dealing with all of that, but at the same time,
these are visionaries.
Yeah, but at the same time, one of the most personable, individual focused, caring people that I've ever met. He had gone to the Naval Academy, so we joke a little bit that.
Okay.
And he'd been at the Navy Academy and went there and then gone to a Stryker and then came to Tesla. So he'd been at Tesla for almost a year, I think, maybe not quite.
Okay.
Maybe it's only 6 months when I got there. I think that's the way it was. And maybe when he interviewed, but yeah,
you really are at the ground floor still.
Yeah. This is the beginning of
dealerships going up.
Obviously
service departments.
Obviously, I don't want to take away from the guys that were really the plank holders, right? I don't ever want to, do that. But this is still very, very early in the history of Tesla. That I'm gonna be part of this. And Brian, like I said, you don't have a guy. There was never been a leader, that impacted me so much as this guy. Like, just because you understand somebody who's doing so much, has got so much coming at him, but he always is calm, funny, You know what I mean? But he also doesn't, he's super engaged. So he's addressing everything that needs to be addressed and taking care of things. Just a model leader, like I said.
And so your job, you're creating service managers and service departments and setting up systems all over the Mid-Atlantic.
Yep. So
how many?
Well, at that point, there's only, let's see, it would be 5 or 6. So,
5 or 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6 locations. 2 in the D.C. area, 1 in the Baltimore area, and 1, I guess it'd be 4. 1 in, I feel like I'm forgetting something, 1 in Philly. But we're opening 1 in Richmond, and we're opening 1 in New Jersey. So maybe it was only 4 to start.
Yes.
I feel like I'm forgetting something, but
yes.
But that's fine. I mean,
and then are you hiring the service managers of the new locations?
Yeah, so we'll be hiring everybody. So, but like before I started, I remember they drove me. Brian calls me. He's like, "Hey, go out to Devon, which is outside of Philly."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, go see that shop and just see what you can learn about that."
Okay.
And so I went out there.
Are you driving a brand new Tesla at this point?
No, I'm driving a Honda Civic, and a Honda Civic. I was a very, for me, people that know me, I mean, I was very frugal. I believe that I'm a Dave Ramsey guy.
Yeah.
I bought, cheap cars.
And they didn't give you one.
No, not at this point. And so I haven't even technically started there, right? I'm just
okay.
I've just been kind of approved, and he's like, "Hey, go out there and check it out." So I drive up in my Civic, and I'm in my uniform. Remember,
so first few months of 2017.
Yep, and probably February or whatever. And there's Nick. He's the manager at the Devon location, and he's got a Model X, a blue Model X here for me.
Okay.
And so he's like, "Hey, you want to drive?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I'll let you drive," which is kind of funny. I let him drive, but he took me out.
Had you been in one before?
I had never. That was the first time I was ever.
You're working with Tesla, and you never been in one.
Yep, and so he took me out. And took me all over a little bit and let me experience what it was like to be in a Tesla. And it was such a big deal to me because Lori still remembers the first time I ever saw Tesla on the road. It was probably in like 13 or 12 or 13, or maybe it was 14. We were driving. We were PCSing. I don't know, so it might have been 14 when we were heading to Maryland. But I remember it was the middle of the night. We're driving, and I see a Model S, and I cruised alongside that vehicle for that guy. Probably was creeped out because I was just looking at his car and like, there's a Tesla. So this was a pretty big event for me to get to ride in one. It was a Model X with the Falcon wing doors, and Nick was so like great. And of course, to this day, Nick's probably at Disney World right now. I'm pretty sure. Nick lives at Disney World, but
okay.
I would meet Nick, and then just again an awesome dude, and we're still friends to this.
Is he still with the company?
He is, and he does great things. He's one of the original. He had at that point already probably been with the company 5 or 6 years.
Yes,
and now he's still there.
And like, maybe you don't know, like how many dealerships do we have in the Mid-Atlantic?
Well,
one or two in every big city.
So at that point, there were probably less than 40 in 17 in the whole country.
Okay.
And I don't know. I haven't looked it up, but I bet there's over probably close to 400 or more now.
Okay.
So we've 10x, and that was always funny. That's all we'd always say is, how do you 10x something?
Wow.
We would talk about that because you have to think 10x.
Yeah.
So when we were there, we wanted, Brian was looking for it, everybody was looking for it, and we would talk about that 10x. Do you have the ability to see and think 10x?
Wow.
And are you building towards that?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you're gonna have a problem. And so that's it. Yeah, they're 10x that now.
Yeah.
And it was pretty awesome. So then
wow.
So Brian then gets me, and I feel bad because this episode isn't very funny. Like,
no. Yeah, I've got some questions, but you finish that story.
Yeah. So then I get, they're like going to fly me out there for my first day. So I remember my brother Brian was getting married, literally the weekend before. So in Las Vegas. So I make the decision. I'm gonna fly to Las Vegas on the 17th, which is St. Patty's Day.
Okay.
And I think that was way the timelines would be, and then. So fly out there, and then that Monday should have been, if the math works out right, was the 20th. I just remember Monday was the 20th, and that was going to be my first day at Tesla. And I go to the wedding. We have a great weekend with my brother. Get to see my aunt and uncle, my niece, and everything because they live out there in Vegas. And then that following Monday is my first day. So then that night, Sunday night, I fly to Fremont, California, and they've got everything set up at this point now.
Oh, so you're starting the job with training in California?
Yep, they start. My first day at Tesla is out in Fremont.
Okay.
And so I remember getting out there, and Brian texts me and says, "Hey, I got a Model X for you out in the parking lot. Go into the Fremont service center was connected at this point to the main factory.
Okay.
He's like, go in there, see this person, get the keys, and I've got a Model X for you. So I've got pictures of that Model X because as soon as I got the key and then I found it out in the parking lot in Fremont, I took a picture of it. But I remember I hop in the car.
This is yours during training?
For that week to drive around. It's a Model X. It's a signature edition. One of the very first Model X's ever built.
Yeah.
And so I hop in that Model X. I drive out of the parking lot. I go and I hop right on the freeway, which is like the 885 or 880 or whatever, right there in front of the Fremont factory.
Okay.
I hop right on it, and as soon as I get on the freeway, I turn on Autopilot. So I've been in this car for probably 5 minutes. I've driven a Tesla for 5 minutes, and I get on the freeway and I turn Autopilot on, and I'm like, let the car drive itself. And I remember pulling out that point.
I'd be freaked out.
I wish I kind of made a video, but I didn't make a video. What I did is I immediately FaceTimed my dad. So I FaceTimed my dad, and I've got him up there, and I lean back, and I've got he answers the phone, and all he can see is the dash of the car. And I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm in the Tesla, and it's driving itself, and I'm on the freeway. And that's what I said to him.
Oh, my
was
goodness.
The fact that, my first day, and that's all I did. I was like, I can't believe, and that's how much trust I put in the car right from the start. Yeah, and I've done it. Right now, I mean, I drive. My kids know this now. We're at the point with a Tesla when I just pull out of my garage and I hit start self-driving, and I let the car drive all the way to the destination now. And I'm at 89. They have a stat now on there too. They just did this where it says how much do you let the car actually be in self-driving. I'm at 89% right now. So I always say I'm in the 90s. I think one episode I said 99%. So, but by statistic, the car drives itself 89%. But I'm going to get that up into the 90s easily because now that they have that where I can just hit the button in my driveway and it'll pull out of my drive all the way to destination. And then when I start, I hit the button and it drives all the way back. But I think of where we were. I mean, we've come a long way.
How do you fly back after training and get in your Honda? That was a great automobile company, by the way.
That was super tough. So it's the middle of March. I get back, and now I've got to, I'm now in charge of so I do all my rounds. I got to drive all the way down to DC. Well, first go up to Philly, right?
Okay.
And that's Devon, and there's this thing called the main line, and that's where Devon, the service center, sits off the main line. Well, during rush hour, the main line coming in and out of the main line is brutal. The traffic is it's like DC. DC's the same way.
Okay.
Between the main line and then you got the DC Beltway. Like I said, I say that it'll make a grown man cry. My brother and I used to, we say this still, like, what we're going to get each other for our birthdays or Christmas is traffic. Like, what do you want for Christmas? Traffic. Like, no, we're just joking because it's the worst.
Yeah.
And here I am in a Honda Civic. I'm driving up, sitting in traffic for hours on the main line or down in the Beltway. And so that was, in April and May. But they would let me, back in the early days, they would let us, they encourage it a little bit, was let us drive some of the loaners and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I remember, getting, I tried not to use it too much because I wanted to make sure, what we're allowed to do. And I remember my boss saying, take a couple out for your family so they can experience, and other people that know you can get to learn these Teslas. So I remember we went down to Virginia Beach and we got, it was Founders 53. And, so this is the 53rd Tesla made.
Okay.
It was a P90D. It was a beautiful Model X. And my brother, my family and I, we took it down there. After driving that weekend and doing the autopilot stuff, I was like, I've got it. I'm now too addicted to this.
So you buy one.
So I buy one, and I found Brutus.
And what model is Brutus?
Brutus was a Model X, a 2016 Model X.
And what do we have in front of us?
Well, that's a Model Y there. So let's lift this thing up. I don't know if people can see it. People on the camera. What I'm holding up is a very nice. I got this off the Tesla website years ago, and it is a Model Y. So this is pretty much
a model of the Model Y.
Yeah, this is a performance Model Y with white interior, red. This is my car. This is the car I drive. So that's what this is. So I bought this off the Tesla website years ago.
Yeah,
and I keep
and
that.
It looks pretty accurate.
And it's exactly accurate. And then I have right here. This is the Model X Hot Wheels. So what I'm holding up is the Hot Wheels for the Model X for my 2016. This was Brutus. So if anybody knows, we name our cars at Tesla. Almost all the cars people name their cars. And so my first car was Brutus, and it was a red Model X.
Yes.
And then my second Tesla, and the reason I did, it was this is Scarlet. This is Scarlet. And again, Scarlet and Gray.
Go
there
Bucks.
You go, go Bucks. So,
well, that is amazing.
Yeah, but
that is great. So then you bought one.
So then I bought one, and of course, it's funny because we call it the Tesla song. Somebody like there was oh my goodness, I forgot the name. They sang Closer, and they sang oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. See, that's how I work.
You mean the cars?
No, the in the car in the Tesla, we call it the Tesla song, and it's someone like that. It was the song by goodness, what's the I can't remember.
Country singer?
No. They sing Closer. Anyways, I'll remember later. I'll have to correct myself.
Yes.
Reading books of old. That song right there. I can't believe that.
Okay.
Chainsmokers.
Oh, Chainsmokers.
The Chainsmokers. Okay. You're like, the Chainsmokers, don't you?
No.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So they had a song that had just came out, and it was Somebody Like That. And so my kids, they refer to that song as the Tesla song because again, the sound system in these cars are amazing.
Yes.
And so we used to listen to that song so much and turn it up so loud.
Yes. And when I met you and you had your Y, I think it was the Y. You said, "Have I shown you how the car can dance to a Christmas song?"
Yep. Here, I'm spitting that out because I keep.
Yes.
Terry, don't let me put ice in my mouth.
I'm not stopping you. You're a grown man.
I don't know how I keep doing that.
You're a grown man, and you'll.
I got a drink, but I don't know why.
I just want to see how your wife looks at you when you sees the episode.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Well, there's gonna be
the dancing car."
Oh yeah. So the Model X, yeah. So what I would do is I would take that Model X. It was just because first of all, people were like me when I first saw it. I wasn't sure if people, because there were people that hated Tesla too, right? And they would be aggressive and they cut you off. And it was a thing called rolling coal where they would just blow black diesel, which I never understood any of that. But there were also people who had never seen the Tesla, so they would drive up and they would just sit right next to you. And the little kids on the buses when you drive by. I mean, again. We're talking the very beginning. There wasn't that many Teslas out there. So when people saw these cars, they were blown away. So sometimes I would go to I would sit and pull up to the Walmart. Yeah. And I would start the Tesla show, we called it. And that's where the Falcon Wing Doors would come up and it would play.
Dun, 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 Carol of the Bells.
Yes, yeah. Carol of the Bell, or is that what it's called? Or?
Dun, 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 but you did it with Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah, and then the sound would, the Falcon Wing Doors would open up and people would just come and they would stand around. They'd be like, what is this car? Yeah. And they would, then be able to videotape. And I just loved that. I loved sharing the car and these things with people. And I would just honestly, I would let people drive it. I'd be like, you got to drive this car. It's kind of like if you have something cool and you just want to share it with somebody, I'd be like, you got to drive this car. Get in it and just take it.
I still have never done anything like that. I've never driven one.
Yeah,
I've been with you twice.
Yeah, well,
in one, and it freaks me out.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't. I mean, they're the safest cars. They're amazing. They're the fastest, the safest. They drive themselves. And again, I've had nothing but a Tesla now since 17. Yeah, and here we are almost. It's almost.
I remember
10 years.
Once. After church, we were coming out the front doors, and your car was driving itself with nobody in it up to the front steps so that you could just get in it.
Yeah, and it does that so well now. I just did that 2 weeks ago. Lori and I were out to dinner, and then what I did was I summoned the car, and it came right up to me and pulled right up. And
you never lose your car.
You know what's so interesting was there were people walking in front of it, and the car would stop. You know what I mean? And they would just walk on across, and then it would start back up, and then another person would come up, and it would stop, and then, but nobody noticed. I was like, I can't believe these people.
Nobody noticed there wasn't anybody in it.
Yeah, nobody had noticed that there wasn't anybody in the car, and it just kept on driving. So that was pretty.
Talk
to
me about more and more dealerships are opening, and you're opening up more and more. You're on the road. What is that like, and how is it different than being in the Army?
Yeah, I mean,
two different questions.
Yeah, but. I mean, I was gone all the time, so I learned at this point,
really?
I would try to drive down and come back at night, but I learned with DC traffic, I mean, at best it's a 2-hour drive. It easily could turn into a 3-4 hour drive, And so a lot of times what I would do is I would just turn it into a trip. I would leave Monday or Tuesday, come back Thursday or Friday. So I would drive down, hit Baltimore, hit Rockville, hit Tyson's, and then in August we had opened up Richmond. Yeah. So we were, and before you open it up, I had to do all the things to build the team too. So not only getting the construction, and that was the cool thing about Tesla is you're like not only leading the organization for like, service, you're also responsible for tracking the construction, right? The project of that, making sure it stays on track, and then also hiring everybody and then all the parts stuff, all the equipment, you're involved in all that. So it was pretty interesting at time. And so, but I would go down there and spend the whole week, and then I would come back. So, that was different. But, my wife would always say, you know what, you're coming home on the weekend.
It's all perspective. You used to go for 9 months at a time.
Exactly. Versus being gone for an entire 9 months. So, we were like, okay, it's okay. We're, and then I could, if I needed to, adjust my schedule. I mean, my boss was, basically he didn't tell me where to go and what to do. He just said, hey, here's your mission, go do it. And we would touch base once a week. And so that's what we would do. So, but through that, I got to deal with like how to be a manager of customers and having upset customers. That was,
talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I remember like one of my very first customers, and I just remember he called me and there was something wrong, of course. And I'm going through this process of like listening to them, acknowledging what they, what their issue is, trying to, seek to understand what they're upset about, and then trying to come to a resolution. And I remember, like in this case, the guy just wanted something that I wasn't gonna be able to give him, and I'm trying to work through that. But somewhere in there,
what do people come in and say? I need a new car.
Oh, that happens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that happens. People they want new cars. They want free everything. Some people they've learned, like in what they think, just let me just ask for free stuff and let me just be mean about it, and maybe you'll give me stuff.
Oh my.
So you got to be able to work through that, right?
Yeah.
And and at this point, Brian will take an escalation. But you don't want to do that. So I'm still at this point, not the final. Later in my career, I was kind of like the buck stops here kind of place. But at this point, I still have Brian, but I don't want it to escalate to Brian. But anyway, so the guy, all of a sudden just says, why'd you laugh at me? And I'm thinking, I'm not laughing at you. Now I realized later, maybe, I go back to airborne school or any of my career.
Okay, yeah.
When somebody comes at you with stress, maybe I was somebody, maybe I chuckled in there, and I was like, but I don't know. I don't think I wasn't intentionally trying to laugh at him, but maybe he kicked up something as he was coming at me pretty hard.
Okay.
And I laughed. But so I'm like, well, I basically pulled the parachute, said, hey, let me go talk to, and figure out what we can figure out. And I remember talking to Brian, and Brian's like, yeah, I'll talk to this guy. So Brian does talk to him later, and he's like, all right, I got it all. We'll just work it out, this, and this. And he goes, but the guy did tell me like you were laughing at him. And I said, well, Brian, I don't remember laughing at him. If I did, it wasn't intentional. Brian said, yeah, it might have been just a nervous thing. But I remember thinking like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean?
Now you're in trouble, yeah.
Well, it's weird because I'm trying to do what's right.
Yes.
For all parties. I'm not trying to, I think that was the greatest thing about working at Tesla was I always felt like we were trying to do what's best for the
and it's
customer.
already been escalated once to you, right?
Oh
yeah, sales manager.
It's already gone through. Yeah, when you think about it, it's gone from either the technician or the service advisor, from there to assistant manager, maybe to the manager. You know what I mean? To now to me.
Yeah.
And so it's already been escalated. And who knows what they've went through, and they've gone through a lot. And I think that helped put things into perspective. I mean, we had a person, just come in and start slamming things at the service desk, like yelling and screaming. And I have been yelled at, pretty harshly over the years. And I learned, to deal with that. And it's, you're thinking, man, this is a car. And I understand, I get frustrated too. And I've done that.
Yeah.
But it's also like trying to put into perspective, as we're trying to help somebody.
Yeah.
But I would always think about that. Like if it got to me, think of what other people, and they're trying to do their best. I mean, I will tell you.
So you had training for them, the managers?
Yeah, exactly. I actually remember at Tesla, one of the thing was helping build that training. Because as I went through it, I remember going through it and talking to other people. I'm a process and systems guy.
Okay.
So I would always try to build, and I was trying to build a process. And I remember building that process. I actually have pictures of it somewhere. I know.
Okay.
I do, of then teaching our managers.
What were some of the do you remember any of the basic trainings, like do these 3 things or these 4 things?
Yeah, it was like basically listen, number 1,
listen.
Right? Yeah, listen, seek to understand what is going on. Don't say no, right?
Okay.
But try to figure out how to, based on what they're seeing, really trying to solve their problem.
All right.
And sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. I realize. I learned that. But that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. But I always have a parachute, which means let me as it's getting escalated, say, okay, let's step back, and you got to be able to do that. Like, let's end this conversation. Don't say it like that, but let's figure out a way to end this conversation so that we can all both step back, think about how that conversation went, and then let me call you back later when we can now re-engage.
Right.
And start.
So you're training these people, but you're also hiring people
Yep.
that you think are going to be able to be able to deal in these situations. Did you have some hiring principles that you went by?
Yeah. So when we started hiring for a couple of those locations, we would do these. I love doing panel interviews. Yeah. So we would set up a panel, 3 or 4 of us, and then that way they can come in and they can just they're not going through like 4 interviews. They're able to do 1 interview with 4 people. And then each group can kind of ask the questions. And, it was interesting. We would get people in, and some of them were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they had researched the company. They were passionate about about Tesla, about electric cars. You could just really tell their knowledge.
Yes.
And I think that's great. I think people that are worried, that are in that category, I would tell them not to worry. Like they just stand out so much. But then also you have the far extreme side of it.
Okay.
Where I remember this one time, we had this person come in, and first they come in and we're sitting there and we could just smell it, right? We could smell like the marijuana.
Oh no.
coming off of them. Yeah. You could just smell it coming off of them. And so I think just like when I was a kid, I didn't think you could smell cigarettes. Like you could smell the marijuana coming off of them, and they're sitting there, and we start the questions, and I just remember seeing the person, they're just sweating profusely, like their hair's actually getting wet, because I think they're so nervous now, and I think probably that's the effects of what they were smoking, and then they can't answer really any of the questions, and to the point where eventually the person, they literally just readily admit that they were just outside in their car and they had smoked marijuana. And so at that point, the interview's over.
Yes,
but
I would think so.
Yeah, we were like, of course, we're very cordial and professional about it. Like, give them the same spiel, well, thank you for your time. We'll let you know we'll collect our notes and we'll get back to you, and somebody from recruiting will reach out to you, kind of thing. And but they leave, and then of course we're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe.
We'll never forget this one.
Yeah, and so we learned really quickly, right? Like, I would tell, like, there's basically one, prepare for the interview, right?
Right.
Prepare for the interview.
Don't come in stoned.
Yeah, don't come in. Don't have just smoked a joint out in the parking lot,
right.
and it flows with you into the interview. Dress appropriately.
Okay.
Have a knowledge, like research the company, right? I learned that too. Research the company so you know like what it's about, and then show your passion for it. Hopefully, when you've researched it, you're coming not just for a job. I think that's the coolest thing. Like for me, I've been fortunate that every single job I've had, I got to believe in.
Yeah.
I somehow, like I think about that. I didn't really apply to go to IIT, to Illinois Tech.
Right.
It was kind of handed to me, right? I did apply for the Army scholarship, but I got into the Army, and then Tesla just all of a sudden it just showed up. But what I would say is, I believed in each, as I was moving in those directions, I believed in those, in
young
those.
People, listen to these, listen to those. Those are good things.
Yeah. And
well, so you were living in Maryland, and how did you come back to Ohio?
Yeah. So I was just sorry, I'm always checking time there, but yeah. So what happened was I've been at Tesla now for almost a year now, right? So it's in December, November, December, and I remember they were working on some reorgs and stuff like that, and some leadership changes were happening, and because the company was just getting bigger, right?
Yes.
Like what we started with wasn't what you were started with was that structure and those processes wasn't going to make it into the future. So they'd gone through that. I remember talking then to Brian, and I just said to him, like, we were doing one of our 101s, and I said, hey, Brian, if you ever have anything in Ohio, Lori and I, we've always talked about after I retired, we would move back to Ohio. And we were living in this amazing place.
Right.
We had amazing people, but we've been family people this whole, when I was in the military, we didn't take vacations. We'd always come home. We'd always come home in the summer. We'd always come home at Christmas.
Yes.
I think you learn very quickly. It's not so much where you are, it's who you're with.
Yes.
And so we always wanted to be close to family. And so I told Brian, I was like, hey, we want to be back in Ohio if we could, to be close to family. That's where my family's from. That's where Lori's family's from. And he just, all of a sudden he just goes, really? And I'm like, well, okay, yeah. And he's like, look, we want to create a new region, and if you want that, I'll make it happen. And he's like, so yeah. And I was like, oh, at that point, like, it's one of those moments where you ask for something and then you realize you got to backpedal maybe just a step, right? Because I was like, I didn't think that. Again, it goes back to like that LinkedIn conversation, maybe, yes, or sitting in biology class and getting that note, or, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
All of a sudden he's saying, like, yeah, that's going to happen like that. And
right.
So I was like, whoa. Let me go talk to Lori first.
Yes.
Like, let me backpedal this. I just did not expect you to say this.
Yes.
So I went and I talked to Lori and I said, hey, would you want to move back to Ohio? And she's like, what? And I said, yeah, I mean, I just brought it up in a casual conversation, and he's like, look, we'll make that happen for you if you want it. And so I was like, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. So I went back to him.
Wow.
And he's like, all right. And I remember I was out in California, and it was the first week of December, I think it was. And because the conversations are starting back and forth. And he's just like, all right, January 1st, you are going to be the Great Lakes regional manager. And so you'll have both regions for a period of time. And so, yeah. And I'm like, where does it matter? He's like, you can live wherever you want. He says, just make sure you can get by an airport and do all the traveling you need to do and take care of your business. And so I was like, oh my goodness. So, yeah. So, we told Lori's parents, and I remember again, that was like, she was just so happy,
yes,
the tears of happiness, knowing that we're moving back home to Ohio. And now my children, I remember it was hard.
I bet.
Lauren is in 8th grade she might've been going into her freshman year. She might've been a freshman at that point. And she'll correct me. She's like, yes, I was a freshman. So she's pretty far along, and she's, this is the longest we've been anywhere, and she's got friends. So I know she put a smile on her face probably
right,
in a little bit for me at that moment.
Sacrifice for her.
But at the same time, I know later it was hard on her, and it was hard on Noah. Noah's pretty quiet, you know what I mean? And for him, he had built up his little friend group, which is hard for him to do. And so, yeah, we're going to pull him out of that. And we had always had a philosophy. Some people, they'll do this thing, well, I'll keep them in school and they separate their family. We kind of had an underlying philosophy that we're going to stay together.
Right.
It's kind of like, the Lewises stay together, right? You know
yes,
what I mean? So even though we're going to move mid school year, that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep everybody together and make that move.
And why Columbus and not Akron, the home of the nicest people in the world?
Ashland. Yeah, headquarters of nice people.
Yes. Akron's not that.
Akron zips. I don't know what Akron is, the rubber city,
yes,
or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, so why not, so where we ended up, right? So Lori's family lives here in Columbus, but if I lived where they live, it could have been an hour and 30-minute drive up to Ashland.
Yes.
My family lives up there in Ashland area, and my brothers and everything. So where we settled here, Lori wanted to be in Columbus. She liked the school districts. I wanted to live out in the country, to be honest with you. I did. I wanted to live out there, get some land, have some four-wheelers, all that kind of good stuff. And I needed to be closer to an airport. I will say that. I knew that. But we wanted to be close to Lori's family too. So where we ended up was, when I looked on the map, this puts me right on 71, and I could zip right up to Ashland, or, we can hop right on the interstate and head right down.
So north side of Columbus.
Yeah.
Easy
So
to get
we're
north.
closer to her family, 35 minutes, but it was like 50 to 55 minutes up to my family. So this is a great spot. And this is just an awesome area.
Yeah.
And you had Lewis Center.
Yes.
Right here I am. I'm right here near
in
Lewis
a town
Center.
named after you.
Yeah, I was like, hey, this is even though we end up in actual address is Galena,
Yes.
but it was like Lewis. Here we got Lewis Center, and
That's right.
And so so we came here.
Okay.
We moved here in March of 18, and that's a whole nother year in story, though.
What a great episode. Let's land this plane as a wrap. Let me just ask you about what advice, what lessons in life, moving from one career into another career, totally different than one another. Any closing thoughts about what people can do to prepare for that, or what's the narratives that should be going in their head?
I think for me, and I'm always like, I don't know what to do, but there's this patience, and I keep telling myself, I remember in every step of the way of, it's executing this patience and saying, I'm gonna wait for a door. Because doors just seem to open.
Okay.
So I haven't tried to force too many things. There have been times in my career where I feel like I force something.
Yes.
And I was like, probably shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
And I'm not saying wait around and do nothing, right?
Yes.
So you can see I wasn't waiting. I was getting up. I was building my resume. I was building my LinkedIn profile. I was every single day doing some work towards that.
Yes.
But I didn't apply to Tesla.
Yeah.
I had no connections at Tesla. That door just opened up.
Yes.
But when I saw it, I could have easily said, oh, that's some manager position. I'm probably better than that. You know what I mean? I could have said, okay, my career, what I've done, I've had more higher roles than that. I didn't. I just said, oh, I'm just going to step into that.
Talk to me more
that
about
door
it.
seemed to open. So let me step into it.
So that's good. So instead of just closing and saying stay unpredictable, put in another word there. Enjoy unpredictable. Have hope in unpredictable.
Well, I think what I've learned is being most unpredictable is pretty joyous.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Be joyful in the unpredictable.
Yeah.
Because
it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
And if you're willing to seek it and let there be patience in it, well, God's got good things for you.
That's good. Good. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. Stay
unpredictable. And we'll see you next week where we're going
Where's the DeLorean taking us?
Well, we go back in time, right?
Okay, where are we going?
So we're going back to 1981.
Okay.
Right? Because we just did 80. And we should be 1981.
I'm going back to single life.
Oh, single.
Yeah, well, that's all it was wrapped up for.
Yep.
Now that I've been married 40 years.
40 years. Wow. You just had when was your wedding anniversary?
Well, we get free things every time we're saying it. So it's not till October. But we
yeah.
Every place we go, it's 40th anniversary. Oh, well, here's a free dessert.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. But anyways, so we'll be back to 1981. That's where the DeLorean will be taking us next week.
Okay.
And so we already said it, but again, stay unpredictable. See you next week.